Hello, my name is Alex Hessick and I am a junior nursing major here at Bloomsburg. I chose the topic of the global aging population because the aging population now will influence the retirement age for our generation. It will also influence my career as a nurse because we will have an increased geriatric population to care for in the upcoming. In my presentation, I will go over the older population statistics that are relevant for today, why there is an aging population, the effects of an aging population, and some strategies our textbook lists. To begin, an older person is generally defined as someone who is 60 years or older. Also, worldwide aging is listed as an issue targeted by the United Nations. According to World Population Prospects, the 2017 revision, it is said that in 2017 there will be 962 million older persons globally, and this is expected to double by 2050 to about 2.1 billion and then triple by 2100. Some more data is that as of 2017, older persons comprise of 31% of the population. In addition, older population growth is about 3% per year, and then in Europe, they have the largest percent of population that is 60 and above, and that's about 25% of their population. On the bottom of the slide is a graphic that demonstrates the ratio of older persons to the rest of the population. It says that between 2000 and 2050, the number of people aged 60 and over is expected to double. So in 2050, more than 1 in 5 people will be the age of 60 years or older. This has effects on the labor force and supporting the older population, which will. This image demonstrates the percentage of older persons in the populations of different countries. As you can see, in 2010, the United States had only about 13% of the population being 65 years and older, and this is expected to increase by 2050 to 21%. In the UK, the percentage of older people was about 17%, and it will be around 25% by 2050. And this is all according to the global. There are three main reasons for the increase of older persons in the population. These include fertility, mortality, and migration. Fertility is the largest driver of population, and it is said that the amount of persons born 60 years ago correlates with the increase of older persons now. So if you had greater fertility 60 years ago, it makes sense that you will have a greater number of persons 60 and above as they grow up. Currently, fertility is declining, and this is related to the emancipation of women as they want to focus on their career more than having a family and children. Also, people are acknowledging that the cost of children is pretty high, so they're having less. Another important factor in population growth is the replacement rate, and the replacement rate is the rate to keep a population the same size, and that is 2.1 children. This chart reiterates the fact that greater fertility back in 1950 will correlate with a greater percent of the older population aged 60 or older now. If you look at the blue bubble, you can see that the fertility rate in Northern America in 1950 was a little more than 3 children per woman, and now it's about a 3% increase each year for the population aged 60 or older. This chart demonstrates the total fertility rate for the world in regions. You can see that in 1950, everyone was having more than 2 children. For example, in Africa, women were having about 6.5 children. In the United States, the average number of children per woman was about 3, and this is going up and down throughout the years. Currently, everyone's fertility is declining, so most countries are having between 2 and 3 children. Africa has the most drastic predicted change to about 3 children per woman in around 20. Here's a closer look at two similar but different populations. Both China and Nigeria have had respectively high fertility rates of about 6.1 and 6.4 children per woman. Then, between 2010 and 2015, the older population in China grew almost twice as fast as that of Nigeria. China had a 6.4% increase versus Nigeria with a 2.4% increase of older persons per year. This is related to the survival rate in these countries. An estimated 66% of people born in China in 1915 to 1955 survived their 60th birthdays, as compared to 37 of those who were born in Nigeria. The second driver of population is mortality. Between 1950 and 1955, the average life expectancy was 46.8 years, and then between 2010 and 2015, it was 70.5 years. This can be attributed to advanced medical care, of which more people have survived past the age of 5 in countries such as Africa, and thus increasing their population. Also, medical care has increased to postpone mortality due to non-communicable diseases. These include cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, respiratory diseases, and cancers. There's also been more consciousness towards clean water and available food and improved safety. The last factor that is influencing the older population in relation to the population as a whole is migration. The initial immigration of a young workforce will decline the average age of that population, but years later, as they grow up, they will increase the percentage of older persons in that population. Many countries are encouraging more immigration of a young workforce so they can manage the aging population to help with their care. Alternatively, some countries have increased emigration of their young, and the ratio of older persons to the rest of the population is increasing. For example, Lithuania has an emigration of about 30% of the population, and in between 2010 and 2015, their share of older persons has increased from 19% to 20%. For many people, the aging population brings retirement to mind. Our textbook talks about the pension age in 1935, and this was 65 years of age. And then the life expectancy then was 62. This means that many people did not live long enough to reach the pension age. Now our current pension age is 66 and our life expectancy is 70.5, so many people are living past this age. The text goes as far as to say many survive up to 20 to 30 years more than this age. With its increase of age, we have less younger workers to sustain these pensions. Some solutions for this include increasing the retirement age so that it better reflects the workforce. We can also continue to increase immigration of a young workforce to sustain our older population. This image demonstrates the effects of an aging population on the younger population of Europe. By 2050, there will be just 2 working age people per 1 elderly person in Europe. And before, there were about 4 working people per 1 retired person. So in 2050, it will be a higher demand. Aging also has a huge effect on healthcare, and it increases pressure on the healthcare industry to care for, treat, and prevent non-communicable diseases and other conditions. They have an increased need to adapt for this growing demand of healthcare and provide for long-term care in the home and in facilities. Also, many institutions are focusing on preventative care because, in the end, it has a lower cost to the institution and less need for facility and home care. Having an increased age of population does have some benefits for older persons, as they have more opportunities to increase their life work, begin a second career, or pursue any interest they may have. For their family, benefits include childcare and household maintenance. This can also include financial support for the family if the older person chooses to continue working. In society, an older person is said to have more wisdom and experience, and one may contribute through volunteerism, philanthropy, and civic engagement. There are some barriers that we need to address, such as ageism. which is the unfair treatment of older persons. We need to ensure that older persons are being employed into the workforce as they can be valuable and have skills that have taken many years to accomplish. Also, having them contribute to the workforce will help with their retirement age, as they will retire later if they're still working. We also want to make sure that all persons are being included in society and that this includes policy making and decision making. We need to make sure that they have access to public services for both those in urban and rural settings. And one way to accomplish this is through technology. We need to have better programs to teach them how to use technology in a beneficial way in order to continue being included. Our textbook lists some actions countries need to take in dealing with the increased older population. This includes substantially increasing immigration to offset declining fertility rates, postponing or abandoning retirement, encouraging higher fertility rates, investing more in the education of workers to increase productivity, strengthening intergenerational responsibilities within families, targeting government-paid benefits to those who need them most, and requiring workers to invest in their own retirement. All of these will help make the ratio of ages more equal, or they will help societies transition to a population with a higher percent of older persons.